Thinking about buying a home in Florida?
Don't make these 5 mistakes that could cost you thousands.
The first mistake is not understanding property taxes and homestead exemptions.
So one perk of Florida is that you don't have state income tax, but you do still have property tax, which maybe you've been hearing a lot about lately being a lot more expensive than it used to be, partially because home prices have went up so much.
And also the property taxes do vary by county. So depending on which county you are, you might be paying more or less for the same value of a property.
So you'll definitely want to keep that in mind when you're looking to buy or sell a home anywhere in Florida. So that way, you can have a better understanding of what your actual final monthly costs are going to be. And that way you can be more prepared financially to budget accordingly. By the way, if you do want to buy or sell a home anywhere from Sarasota down to the Port Charlotte, Inglewood area, or the entire Orlando metro,
make sure to call, text, or email our real estate team, 941-221-1897. We've helped a lot of people move to the area. We'd love to help you too.
And we've also helped a lot of people sell homes that maybe thought it was getting a little too pricey and wanted to get out. And if you're looking to buy or sell a home anywhere else in Florida or the United States for that matter, you can click the link in the description, answer a few questions. That'll get you connected with a realtor in the area that you're looking for and is an expert in that area. That doesn't cost you anything extra. But either getting a hold of us or clicking that link is a great way to support the channel so we can keep making new videos like this.
So about those homestead exemptions, not every state has a homestead exemption, but Florida does. And the easiest way that I usually explain homestead exemption is you can get up to $50,000 of a discount or credit on your taxes. So meaning that if your home is valued at $400,000 and that's your primary home that you're going to be moving into, you will be paying taxes on $350,000 if you're approved for that up to $50,000 limit.
So the mistake on that one would be, well, first of all, not applying for and getting that homestead exemption because that can save you a lot of money. But I think another possible mistake would be not putting that into consideration when you're doing your budgeting, because maybe, you want that 3-bedroom and right now it seems like you can only afford the 2. Maybe that homestead exemption could get you over the hump and get you to the point where you could get closer to the home that you want.
And the other benefit that we have as Florida residents is we have a cap on how much our taxes can increase every year. This benefit is great because, as Jesse mentioned, our property values did increase.
So if you are looking to buy right now, you will kind of have to now foot that higher bill of what the property is valued at now. But if things ever do go crazy again and the value keeps going up, you can avoid those dramatic increases, which, over the course of maybe we won't see some big increases in the next couple of years, but 10, 15, 20 years, at that point, I think you can expect to see values go up quite a bit as well again. So you'll be kind of free and clear from those changes, or at least minimize the amount of change in your property taxes.
Mistake number 2 is ignoring flood zones and the flood insurance that could come along with that.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to get a hold of a local realtor like we mentioned before. Calling or texting us or clicking the link in the description is a great way to do that, because you want to have an idea of what's going on in that area, and you want someone that knows that local area, because sometimes you can't completely rely on necessarily the flood maps, because we've seen through the last few hurricanes over the last 3 to 4 years that they're not always the most reliable. So you want to have a local understanding of some of those things. But within that, knowing things to look for with the home, such as like it being elevated, having the lot elevated can help significantly, and just budgeting for that as well if you feel like you're going to need that flood insurance.
And not everyone needs flood insurance. This is more or less, if you are financing, then your lender will likely require flood insurance. But if you're buying cash, then it's up to you if you want to insure the home or not, and if you're in a flood zone or not. With the past hurricanes that we have had, though, a lot of people, even that are not in a flood zone, they are still carrying insurance just for that added peace of mind. Yeah,
and then within the just regular insurance sphere, one thing we should point out is there's a lot of misinformation out there right now. A lot of people think if you live in Florida, you're going to be paying $7,000 a year, bar none, doesn't matter. And that couldn't be further from the truth. We actually live in a beach town of Venice, Florida, and we're about probably 2 miles from the actual coastline. Our insurance is about $2,600. Now, it did go up about $1,000. It was $1,500 about 2 years ago. But that should give you a sense of like what you can expect to pay, I think, for a lot of people if you shop around for rates. And if, your home is in, the condition necessary to get those good rates.
And also location, if you're closer to the coastline. I mean, we are kind of close, 2 miles from the coastline, and we're still, I think that's a pretty good rate, because I have seen rates up to $5,000 the closer you are to the water, or depending on what neighborhood, like if it's a neighborhood that floods, typically the insurance prices are going to be a lot higher than insurance costs for other communities or other neighborhoods where the flood risk is less. But also if you have a newer construction home, or if you have a brand new roof or hurricane-proof windows. So things like that will bring those costs down.
And if your roof is 15 years or older, for asphalt shingles we're talking here, a lot of insurance companies just flat out will not cover you anymore. So those are some things you'll want to keep in mind, like looking at the age of the roof. And then also just to have a sense for your budget, that could be a costly mistake. Getting some quotes from insurance companies, finding out, what flood insurance would cost if you decide you want to get it or need to get it, just so you can, again, have a more idea of what everything's going to cost together.
Another costly mistake is buying in an HOA community, a homeowners association community, without reading the rules and regulations of the community.
This could be costly, not just in a money sense, but in a lifestyle sense. Yes. Let's say you move into a condo and you've got a dog that's, 100 pounds, and maybe they have a weight limit, which is not an uncommon thing to have, or maybe there's breed restrictions, or maybe there's, certain things you like to do within your home or you want to have in your lanai that's outwardly facing. Sometimes we'll have restrictions with that. And there's going to be different restrictions as far as what you can do with the house and how it looks and the outward appearance. A little less restrictions with dogs, usually if you have a freestanding home, but sometimes even that will be a factor in HOA communities. So those are all things you want to be aware of.
And also, if you own a boat or an RV and you want to park it in your driveway and you are in an HOA communities do not allow that. So you would have to either park your boat and your RV off site or figure out what to do, or hopefully your boat fits in your garage. But yes, you would not be able to park those in the driveway. And also there are some communities that won't allow you to park your cars in the driveway or on the streets. You have to park in the garage. So that's another thing to look for.
And also if you maybe have like a business vehicle, like if you're going to do something with construction, or you just have, a vehicle where it's not just like a sticker that you can pull on and off. Some communities will also have restrictions with that being in the driveway or being in the driveway at certain hours of the day. Some just don't want it there at night. So it just depends on the community. But those are all things you want to keep in mind, as well as the upkeep and maintenance that goes with being in a home in an HOA community. They'll want your lawn to look a certain way, maybe your bushes, the paint color, or if your paint is faded on the home, if it's a stucco home. Things like that are all things that you're going to have to, budget in to upkeep and maintain. Otherwise, if you don't, you'll get a letter from the HOA. And the HOA will say, hey, if you don't fix this within 60 days, 30 days, whatever the case may be, we're going to start fining you. So now it's going to cost you on top of the cost of maintaining. So those are all things you'll want to be aware of.
Another common HOA restriction is rentals. A lot of communities do not want to have short-term rentals because they want a community where it's primarily homeowners and they want to limit investors. So this is something to keep in mind if you are purchasing a home and you're thinking about it as an investment side of things. There's also other restrictions with the county where, for example, Sarasota County, where we live, you do have to be a 30-day minimum rental. And a lot of communities will just have that 30-day, or they'll add on another 2 months on top of that. So 3 months would be your rental restriction that you have in that community. So that's why reading the paperwork before even submitting an offer, an agent can get you those documents so you can review those documents and make sure that the community is going to work for your needs.
Yeah, again, that's a really big reason to get with a real estate agent, just so you kind of know what you're dealing with and exactly all the restrictions. One other thing, two things to point out. Some communities too will have it's like a 6-month minimum for the rentals, or a 1 year minimum. And then also there are some exceptions on the other side of things. Like if you get to like the southwest end of Orlando, like in the Davenport Champions Gate area, there's some communities there where they only want, or they want a certain amount of the units within a community to be short-term rentals, because they want to keep it more for people to rent it out. And, they know that everyone coming into the area is there kind of on vacation. And that's kind of the vibe that they want in those communities. And that's what they want the units used for. So those are some little, quirks to different areas to keep in mind, and why you really want to know each area and the differences between them.
Another costly mistake is not calculating your closing costs and fees before closing on a home. The fees do vary depending on the lender and, what's written in your contract, but typically it will be anywhere from 2.5% to 6%. And this cost is very important because you do have to come with cash to the closing table to get your keys. So do not forget about those costs, because it could cost your home.
Mistake number 5, and we've kind of touched on this throughout because it is so important. We've showed you some of the details of how, and it's not connecting with a local real estate agent before you look at buying or selling a home in an area. Just because of the fact that, like we said, every area is different as far as regulations with the county, how things are developing, how things might change, so you can foresee how those things are going to change, because maybe you like what an area is now and maybe you're not going to like what it's going to turn into if it's getting developed. So those are all things you want to be aware of, is on top of the flooding and, you know, insurance, all the different costs that go into a different area.
And also there's a misconception that real estate agents are only there to open doors and show you the property. That's a huge mistake, because when you work with an agent, when you work with a team, they are going to have your best interest in mind. So they're not just going to go and open that door for you. They're going to tell you all about the area. And especially if they are knowledgeable, they're going to not tell you this is the house that you need to buy, but this is an area that has, you know, like these amenities, or is close to the beach. Whatever you are looking for, we are going to have your best interest in mind. And we are not only going to be opening the door, we're going to be helping you with the contract, with everything, any questions you have, HOA documents, everything, so you don't make a costly mistake.
Yeah, on top of finding, you know, the property that's not going to be costly for you because it doesn't fit with what you're looking for, it's going to save you the time in finding the property that fits what you're looking for. Because a lot of times you might be looking for, okay, I want to be close to a golf course, I want to be close to a beach, I want to be in a gated community, but I don't want it to be 55 and up. You know, like there's all these different things you're looking for that you're not always going to be able to find through a search on Google or on a real estate app or from just going on YouTube videos, because there's all these different ones out there that maybe you're not even aware of, that a local real estate agent will have very good knowledge of all the different options that really fit exactly what you're looking for, but also avoid some of the big things you're looking to avoid, such as being in a flood zone, or, you know, being too far from the beach, or being in a heavily congested area. All those little details and nuances that you're not going to be able to just figure that out online. There's so much that goes into buying a home and the location of it that you really have to have a good grasp of. And the only way to really get that is from years and years of experience of being in an area. Again, if you're looking to move anywhere from Sarasota down to the Port Charlotte, Inglewood area, or the entire Orlando metro, get a hold of our team, or anywhere else in Florida, you can click the link in the description and that'll get you connected with a local realtor in the area that you are looking for.
And if you want to learn more about living in Florida, check out this video right here, hit the like button, and
live breezy.